Which is funny because, like, I can imagine Biden making like a stronger stand the way he's said about Taiwan. Like, we will come to Taiwan's defense, right? I mean, he said it like several times.
Kind of said that again. He was like, there was like a recent interview with Time Magazine or something like that, in which he seemed like not quite with it on all things, but
It's these moments of clarity.
But like
we will
the
defend our
Taiwan
allies.
thing, he tried to kind of negotiate this middle ground where he was like, he was trying to talk about like the U.S. position on Taiwan, but then he was like, we essentially reiterated that if it came to blows, that they would defend Taiwan.
Yeah, I just, yeah, it's sad because then I'll also see a video like he just was in France for the D-Day celebrations, and there's a point where it really looks like he's just pooping his pants.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is why I feel like even if President Biden has the correct instincts towards Taiwan, like, I don't know what his administration would actually do.
Yeah.
You know?
And if, he's clear on what he wants to have happen, but doesn't have the physical or mental energy to push that through all the bureaucracy that he has to push it through in order to take military action, then it comes to nothing. Like when his State Department is going to resist him, when the military may or may not resist him, when some portion of the public might resist, when part of Congress might resist, like you have to not only have your convictions as president, but you also have to have the ability to follow through and push against those dissenting voices and say, look, this is the right thing to do, and we're going to do it, and it's going to happen. And you just take all those steps. It's very hard being president to begin with, let alone being 80 and struggling.
I do think that I keep thinking back about what happened with like Nancy Pelosi visiting Taiwan, where like it was clear that there were members of the Biden administration trying to block her.
Yeah.
And then she kind of publicized that in the Washington Post and like,
oh yeah,
and like
that was smart.
That it was kind of like, yeah, I will not go, but President Biden has to call me and tell me in person, like on the phone or whatever. Like he has to tell me that he doesn't want me to go. And then I will also release a statement saying I am not going because President Biden asked me to not go.
Yeah. She drew a red line.
Yes, and then they backed down.
I mean, that's a very smart strategy. And I think that this is a lesson for anyone who's facing pressure to sort of not do something that goes against what the CCP wants. Right? It's like you publicize it. And it's like, when you shine light on it, it actually makes it easier. Like, for example, what the Philippines is doing by shining light on what's happening there. Or like if a company is, say, facing censorship pressure, right? For whatever reason, like a response could be, to make a statement. We've publicly decided to not talk about the 35th anniversary of June 4th, 1989, because we're facing a lot of pressure from our, China-linked advertisers or something. And a company that does that is actually very courageous, and it makes kind of the same statement without maybe technically violating whatever gag order. But you get like what they're doing, right? And so it actually is very helpful.
Yeah, I think the shining a light on it is such an important part because what the CCP does a lot of times is like really petty and alienates people and kind of unites like other people or countries against them. It's just that when none of that is exposed, everybody feels alone, right? Like all these like small countries, they feel like they're being pressured by the CCP. They don't have anywhere to go to talk about it.
But then Lithuania.
Yeah, or the Philippines, right? Like these countries,
Solomon Islands. Well,
they,
specifically
Malaita,
one premier
Malaita
in
province.
Yeah.
So it's just like when these things come out, then there's like that makes people understand that this is not just one isolated incident. This is what the CCP does, and then people form alliances based around that. Like there's an entire alliance of Congress people, like MPs, whatever, Interparliamentary Alliance on China. I think I might have gotten the first word wrong, but like it is like a bunch of different like legislators from different countries that are all standing up to the CCP, and they form this this is like a non-government body, right? But like it's like a group where they are all saying like Lithuanian like MPs or UK MPs, like US Congress people, like they all like have like a united stance about the CCP, and they are talking to each other. So even on a like not official government level, but like on a government level that's they're still dealing with they're all dealing with the CCP, and they're all talking to each other about how to deal with the CCP.
That's really good and really important too. And I think that can also be driven further by the individual people of a country being aware of the Chinese Communist Party.
No, I think that's definitely true too. I mean, I think I mentioned Zelensky coming. I think an interesting thing is like Zelensky and Marcos were together, and I think that also like pointedly draws an arrow at China, right? Because like the CCP is propping up Russia, and so the CCP is also threatening the Philippines. So like, and then unspoken here is like, then what does that make people think of as Taiwan?
Yeah, well, since we're talking about Zelensky, he had a great burn on China, but he was there essentially because China, as you said, is supporting Russia a lot. There's a whole range of ways they support, like getting around U.S. sanctions. The U.K. has said that they are supplying lethal aid. Again, the U.S. has been like, we don't know about that. Please don't force us to sanction, do anything, stand up to China. We don't want to.
Even though we previously drew a red line about this.
Yeah, we drew a red line. But like, we'll just pretend like you're not. It's not China selling weapons to Russia. It's Chinese companies selling weapons to Russian companies.
Yeah.
Totally different. We don't have to go to war. We're already at war. Oh, God.
Anyway, Zelensky's burn.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me just make sure I got the entire context. So China is preventing like a good treaty or whatever between Russia and Ukraine, and so Zelensky was like, "This is unfortunate that such a big, independent, powerful country such as China is an instrument in the hands of Putin."
Ooh.
Yeah,
I don't think Xi Jinping's gonna like that.
Although technically, I would disagree with his analysis that China is just the puppet of Russia, because it's definitely the other way around. Russia is so reliant on the CCP now. This is another issue where, like we've said this on the show, that like the CCP is sort of like at the center of the spider web of global terror, communism, not very nice things. Those are words. Put them together however you want.
I mean, they're basically like Brain from Pinky and the Brain.
Then is Putin insane?
Well, I mean, just like the whole like, what are we doing? Trying to take over the world.
That's what you meant.
Yeah,
okay.
like every night, what are we going to do? Try to take over the world. What are we going to do in the South China Sea? Try to take over the world. What are we going to do in the South Pacific? Try to take over the world.
Yeah, we're a near Arctic country. Let's take over the Arctic.
Yeah.
China's not near the Arctic in any way. But yes, if something is done about the CCP, that solves a lot of the world's problems.